Under what scenario, if any, could we see three Big Ten teams in the playoff?
It would involve Clemson and Washington losing those championship games, and then it would be a debate. And don't forget that Colorado would have a claim as an 11-2 Pac-12 champion at that point, having beaten three ranked teams, one of them in the top five in 3 consecutive weeks. So I think people forget about that. Is it a long shot? Yeah, I think it's a long shot, but you can't discount what they've done. And then you'd have the Big Ten champion, and you'd have Michigan, who's sitting on the couch making a claim.
So while that debate would be, boy, I'd love to hear that conversation go down. But if that situation were to unfold here, Dennis, and Colorado emerges out of the Pac-12 championship game Friday night, now Michigan beat them, as we know. It was a very good game.
Right.
Who would get in of the two?
Well, that's a good point. I can make a case for all 4 teams. Penn State with the head-to-head against Ohio State, but lost by 39 to Michigan. Wisconsin, which is nobody's talking about this fact, that if Wisconsin wins, I'm pretty sure they've played 6 top 10 teams ranked at the time of kickoff, and they would have beaten 4 of them. Colorado, I just told you about beating 3 ranked teams consecutive in a row and winning 10 games for the first time in 15 years. Do they pass the eye test? I don't know, but does Michigan right now, that didn't win its division, that has lost 2 of the last 3, but in many people's eyes, the 2 teams that are the best in the Big Ten won't be playing Saturday. It's a conundrum.
Yeah, no, it does. And one of those Big Ten teams that is playing is Penn State. Why does it feel like Penn State's getting no love for the advances that they've made as a team? And what James Franklin has done there has been amazing, actually, with everything that we thought coming into this year.
Yeah, I'll never be at a stage where I can say Penn State's being ignored, but you're right. I think James Franklin deserves some National Coach of the Year love. Back-to-back 7 and 6 seasons, and then to do this is quite an improvement. He's done it at 2 places now, Vanderbilt and resurrecting Penn State out of the ashes. I don't know. I'm not proclaiming that I do. That those scholarship limitations are still going to hurt. I don't know that. I haven't checked lately. But Saquon Barkley, that defense, it looks like old times at Penn State. And to be here in his 4th year, I'm trying to remember, contending for not only a Big Ten title, but a spot in the playoff, I think there's something to be said for that. James Franklin has to go down. And nobody's saying this. One of the better coaches in the country.
Yeah. Well, Dennis, aside, without getting too into the minutia of recruiting, has this really impacted their recruiting base? I mean, do they have a top 10 recruiting class coming in?
I'm not a recruiting honk. I don't know that. They had one of the worst offensive lines in the country last year, to the point that their quarterback, Christian Hackenberg, was all but sang it because he got sacked 44 times or something like that. But they've just gone back to basics. I mean, you watch them play, they just grind it out against Michigan State, fall behind against Michigan State, hit some big plays at the end. Penn State's mentally tough.
Yeah, they are. No, we've been propping them up. I hear you. I've been riding. I really think that, to Tiki's point, it's crazy. How does Penn State not get?
Yeah, and Kirby Holcutt says they're not even close to Ohio State. They beat Ohio State.
I mean, have you watched the last month, Kirby? I mean, Penn State's kicking the crap out of people.
Yeah, but there's still that mitigating, that stink bomb against Michigan, which is, look, it has to be a mitigating factor. You can't mention one without the other.
Yeah.
I'm not going on a stump that the Big Ten champ should be in, or that Michigan and Ohio State should be in. I believe Ohio State should be in.
They're in.
Game.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're in. But after that, it's really muddled. And by the way, if everybody wins, the favorites win on Saturday.
Yeah.
You're looking at the football floor right now.
I know you are. No, I know. Talking to Dennis Dodd, CBS Sports senior college football writer, swinging by here on Tiki and Tierney.
Hey, Dennis, there's been a lot of movement action in the coaching ranks, obviously with Tom Herman taking the job at Texas. But Baylor fired Mark Helfrich, and for the first time since '76, they have to do a coaching search, which is kind of amazing. Obviously, with Nike money behind them, I don't think it's going to be that difficult to get the price right. But who's likely to get that job?
Well, first of all, Oregon's at a crossroads. I never thought I'd say this, but I don't know how good a job that is right now. Yeah, they can pay whoever they want, but there's no obvious candidate. I mean, when P.J. Fleck emerges as maybe the favorite, he's 35 years old. has guided Western Michigan to an undefeated season. But do you want, a guy like that, and I don't mean to disparage him, but a MAC coach coming and taking over this aircraft carrier, which is a flagship school for not only the state, but for a brand, the largest sports apparel company in the world next to Adidas. They need a game changer. They need a charismatic, innovative coach like Chip Kelly. Is PJ Fleck the guy? I don't know. I mean, I have a name that I fell in love with last night when I started thinking about it. Willie Taggart at USF, who's got West Coast roots a little bit. He was Jim Harbaugh's running backs coach at Stanford, has led South Florida to a 10-2 season, and has the poor man's Lamar Jackson and Quentin Flowers.
Yeah.
And at his age, ready to take off at a job like Oregon. But there's no obvious, guy out there. I mean, Dan Mullen coming off a 5-7 season. I think he's really, really good, and I think they might end up with him. But it's just, frankly, it's a bad time for Oregon to be hiring a coach.
Yeah, it's not exciting. I think I said Baylor there. I meant Oregon. Obviously, you got the connection right. But Baylor is obviously an interesting one as well. Is that a potential landing spot for Charlie Strong?
Yeah, I think that connection was made right away. I have not seen him on any finalist list. I think they were all ready to jump on Chad Morris at SMU until last Saturday when SMU gave up 75 to Navy, and Navy had its second and third stringers in there in the third quarter, and they still gave up 75. He's very talented, innovative, did great things at Clemson, is a poor man's Art Briles, and I mean that in the best possible way without the baggage. Native Texan, knows all the Texas high school coaches, runs the spread, could keep that philosophy going at Baylor. But I think it's just a matter of Baylor wanting to pull the trigger on that after, you're hiring a coach who's 7-17 in 2 years at SMU. Mm-hmm. Now, his resume is fantastic as an assistant. There was improvement at SMU this year. They beat Houston. So, if not him, then a Sonny Dykes. Mac Rhodes loves him some Sonny Dykes at the Baylor AD. He interviewed him last year at Missouri when they had to replace Gary Pinkel. You hear Larry Fedora. I just checked this morning. Any mention of Mike McIntyre from Colorado should be taken out. I got that from pretty much the highest possible source. So I think you can go with those names right now.
Little news here. Attaboy, Dennis. Okay, we'll incorporate that. Dennis Dodd with us here on Tiki and Tierney. All right, Dennis, we're a little tight on time, but I have two tight ones for you that I think our audience is going to want to hear about. In your opinion, this obviously sets up a million dominoes here. What's the more plausible scenario, Vatech beating Clemson or Colorado beating the Huskies?
I think Vatech beating Clemson, because Clemson is on a roll. I know that Colorado is too, but I think Washington's undervalued as about as solid a team as there is in all three phases right now.
Yeah, they're getting a touchdown in that game. Yep, 7-point dogs.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I think Vatech I think Justin Fuente is the ACC Coach of the Year, done great things with Jared Evans, that quarterback. They're coming on late on a neutral field. I would see that. Clemson's very, very good, but they're not as good as they were last year.
Is there any scenario, Dennis, where a door can open for the Sooners?
Don't think so. I mean, the scenario, the thing I talked to you guys about, you're going to have to get by a Colorado, which the only reason we talk about the Big 12 is if Colorado won and Virginia Tech won. So they have to get past that. They'd have to get past Michigan. They'd have to get past the Big 10 winner. They played a great schedule, but they didn't win those games against Houston and Ohio State. So I don't think so.